Austin activist Suzy Shelor joins the Plutopia podcast this time. Suzy takes aim at Elon Musk and his herd of alleged geniuses, Trump's ongoing assault on democracy, mainstream media's move to the right, and much more.
Everything has just been done with a hatchet. I mean, there's no thought of. I think they've probably spent more money closing things down than they would have, if they'd just gone through each institution for a year or so and weeded out that way. But they're just cutting it. I mean, the IRS just lost like 5,000 people in tax season. Nobody thought this out. For all of we have this great plan, 2025. Nobody thought about consequences. These people, MAGA people, just never think about consequences. They think they have the right to say whatever they want to say, and they do, but there are consequences.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Plutopia News Network. My co-host is Scoop Sweeney. And, Scoop and I are from the same hometown. Can you believe that? And our guest today is Suzy Shelor. Yeah, I mean, they were kind of glad to get rid of us. Suzy Shelor was our co-host when we were doing the Plutopia live stream sessions, which, I don't know, maybe we should do that again. We discontinued that a while back. It was just hard to make time for everything. But today we're welcoming Suzy back to talk about the weird state of things in 2025. We're in kind of a strange place.
We are. I feel like.
Go ahead.
I feel like we're the Germans sitting by and watching things happen. And I think to myself, this is exactly how the Nazis took over. Is nobody knew what to do. None of our leaders are coming out to say, this is what we need to do. We don't have a Martin Luther King marching us down to the Capitol. We're just watching, and you go.
I don't think it's exactly the same, though, because when Hitler and his guys were taking over, you didn't have a huge group of people who could get on Reddit and put together a movement in a matter of hours and grow the thing.
Where's the movement?
The 50501 movement?
I don't know.
Yeah, they've been popping up all over.
I haven't
see
seen
if I have the. I'll find it. Hold on, give me a minute.
It's not as big yet as stuff we experienced back in the 60s and 70s, but it seems to be growing because a lot of folks that really thought Trump was the man are suddenly realized the man has just stepped on their neck and their life. And you're seeing a lot of disaffection going on there.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yeah.
let me tell you about this. So one guy got on Reddit, on a subreddit. He started a subreddit called 50501, I guess. And he was saying, we really should have protests in all 50 states. I mean, it started with one guy and other people picked up on it and it rolled and rolled. Now, the way I came to it was I discovered this thing and I looked at it and I couldn't find any information. There was no transparency. And because there was no transparency, I thought, well, as far as I know, there's a bunch of Russian guys sitting in some KGB office setting this thing up, setting it up so that the end result is martial law or something like that. I mean, I was having these really deeply paranoid thoughts. I wonder why.
As we all should.
Yeah.
I mean, right now.
But I was wrong. And what happened was that February 5th was the day of the first protest. And on February 5th, these people had managed to put something together using initially the subreddit and then also a Discord server, a huge mass of people who showed up in state capitals in all 50 states on the 5th of February. And of course, that was just the start. And they're planning to do more things. As you can see, their next day of action is planned to be March 4th. And they've got stuff, they've actually become an organization. an organized
That's great.
movement.
Yeah. I
Well,
could
now,
understand the lack of a transparency because thinking back to the older days of the 60s and 70s protests, a lot of people were supporters of that, and they learned early on that it was dangerous to be a vocal supporter and be using your real identity. So a lot of people were using, fake names and trying to hide who they really are because people such as the FBI would pay them a visit to tell them that the protests were not good.
and
Yeah, and
so
I'm sure that's part of the case here. Oh, go ahead, Susie.
I guess I'm wondering if I'm afraid to talk. For certain things, I spell words differently when I'm putting them on Blue Sky or whatever, so that the algorithm doesn't catch me. I'll spell Google with a 3, and a capital L or something like that. But I am, I am afraid. I am afraid, and I can see people acquiescing already on like Joe and Mika, right? You heard about that whole thing, the Morning Joe, how when he won, they've been going on and on. They called him a Nazi, they called him Hitler, and then he won, and they went down there and bent the knee and kissed the ring. And I'm
Well,
assuming,
that's not what they say they did.
well,
I
yeah,
mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but it's hard for me to believe that they bent the knee and kissed the ring, basically. Have
it's
you
not.
seen some radical change in the
Yes,
reporting on Morning Joe since that happened?
yes, yes,
Oh, well, maybe
yes,
they did.
absolutely. I have
What's
absolutely.
changed? What have you seen?
They are no longer as critical of Trump. They try to explain his decisions instead of saying this is
Hmm.
wrong. They won't call him a fascist anymore. They won't say he's doing anything that's necessarily wrong. They'll call out a few things, but then they'll explain them. It's like, do you watch TYT, The Young Turks?
I have watched it, yes.
They did the same thing. They didn't go down there, but they're no longer, they sold their email address, email list to a company that bought them. And I don't know what the company's name is anymore, but they've lost a lot of ratings. Anna Kasparian is just, she's a joke now on YouTube. She's just an absolute joke. And it's heartbreaking because I liked her.
There are a lot of things like that happening. Washington Post, that's
Yeah.
no longer the place where you go for good reporting because Bezos, he kissed the ring. He not a he probably sold his soul and along with kissing the ring, but there's just more of that happening, and certain people, even on supposedly progressive media, have shut up, or quieted
Exactly.
down. They don't call him a Nazi anymore. They don't say he's wrong. They just say he's misinformed.
Yeah, misinformed is a really good one. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
But
a lie is still a lie, though. But no one seems to want to use that word anymore.
no, and the whole he just we're aligning ourselves with the Russians, and I mean we're going to go to war with France. What is happening? What the
Are we
fuck
going to war with
is happening?
France?
Well, Macron, he's going to go. He's already said we're going to go defend Greenland.
Mm.
So, I
Well,
mean,
well, they were being best buds on TV as I was coming in to set up here, and
wow.
Yeah.
there was a lot of back and forth. Macron was trying to, say, well, okay, you've got this deal. You know, Trump thinks that he has a, ceasefire negotiated.
Oh,
We'll see how that works out. But he was saying a lot of things, and to Macron's credit, he was coming back and correcting him. Reminding him how the money for NATO actually works. There's
yep.
not there's not a checking account that you deposit your money into. You have to
Yeah.
go and spend your money on your own defense. But
Exactly.
Trump keeps saying they weren't paying the money in. It's like
He
Well,
thinks there's no.
Macron can correct him there, but he's not going to change his tune about it because
Oh no.
Macron is not his audience.
Yeah.
That's not who he's speaking to.
And he
He's
doesn't admit that he's wrong ever.
Who is he speaking to
But
though?
we,
Because everybody's come out and said we want Elon out of here, and he's not doing that. So who is his audience?
I think Elon has something on him because he's acting like the dog that's been whipped by its owner, and it's just kind of sitting in the corner, and the owner is suddenly taking control of everything.
Watching
I
their
don't know. This thing with Elon is kind of evolving. I mean, I noticed that, was it yesterday that, Elon sent a thing out, a message out to all government employees saying, you've got to respond and tell me 6 things you did last week,
right.
or we'll assume that you've resigned. So Kash Patel at the FBI said, no, you don't have to do that. Blow that
Yeah.
off. So one of 2 things is happening there. The Kash Patel is saying, man, this guy Elon's an idiot. We're not going to do that. Or he's saying, oh, well, I'll tell them not to respond. And then when they don't respond, they'll get fired and I'll be rid of them.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out which was more likely.
Well, the
Because
whole
it's
thing,
very possible that all the people in the cabinet are sitting there thinking that what in the fuck is Trump doing here? Why does he have this guy Elon Musk digging around in government data? Basically, I mean, it's a treasure trove for Musk. He's able to get data on all of his competitors from the IRS and
I didn't think about that.
well, there's several agencies that have crucial data. The is it CMFPB? I'm trying to.
I don't know.
Oh,
what that-
CFPB.
yeah, well,
CFPB. I don't know
he's
where I got
trying
the
to
M.
he's trying to get
CFPB.
rid of all the people that can harm, or not so much harm, but rein in his businesses, because look at all the people, all the agencies that he's trying to shut down and downsize, and they're all things that involve his businesses. Automobiles, space.
fucking- I heard
all
that,
of that.
his big get is that Trump promised him that that we would send him to Mars.
What, they would send Trump to Mars?
I wish. No, Trump promised Elon.
I mean, you can send them both to Mars.
I
That
would love
be
that.
okay.
Yeah,
Elon,
I don't
one of
see
the-
Elon booking a ticket to Mars, though. I see him
No,
doing
no.
what he's done with all of his companies. He gets some poor, young guy to go, okay, I'll go to Mars for you.
Yeah, the same guy who got that Neuralink put in.
Yeah.
Jeez, and he's just I heard now. So he's building. Has he built that big compound out there? You're out there, Scoop.
He's building it up. He already has his own convenience store, which is his bodega.
Oh my god.
And it's just a silly little building where his employees can go and they can get cheeseburgers and Cheetos and
But they have to pay for it.
Red Bull. Yeah, of course. But, apparently he gives them a little bit of a discount, a couple of pennies on the dollar off. But
Ah,
he's also just
20% off is the usual thing.
he's opened his own school down there for the employees. And
yeah.
you can imagine what kind of things are being taught in his school.
Well,
Elon is God. All
didn't-
hail.
I think
Oh, I don't know about that, but
so.
okay,
I thought that
Go ahead.
he and
go
Joe
ahead, and then I want the
Rogan-
floor in a minute.
Okay, I thought he and Joe Rogan were opening a school together called the Austin School, or the Austin, not the Austin
No.
School. That's Roy. The Austin University. That's what it was.
The University of Austin is not, it doesn't have anything to do with those guys.
Oh, okay.
There was a whole group of other people that put it together.
All right.
And well, no, I mean, they're not conventional right-wing people, but they're not left either. They're probably
Yeah,
closer
no,
to libertarian than anything else.
Okay.
And they're really supposed to be like big, like free speech people and free thinking. What they
definitely.
would argue is that the left suppresses free thought And that's where they have an issue with the left. That's kind of their big thing. But it's people like, what did they call those people? The uh,
Tea
intellectual dark
Party?
web. I'm sorry, it took me a minute to
Oh,
think of that. You remember the intellectual dark web?
no.
It was just a group of people that, they're kind of more libertarian than anything else, but they're definitely upset with the left or frustrated with the left, and they're frustrated with the right,
Hmm.
Um,
I've seen some brutal town
anyway, some of
halls.
those some of those people have had some connections to the Austin school, and I'm looking to try to find. Let's see
What
if I can find the name of the guy who was the founder.
the Austin school is Roy, so it would be University of Austin.
Roy?
Yeah, so Austin school is
University
not.
of Austin. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I meant. University of Austin. So the University of Austin I can't find the founder's name. Oh, I'll have to just look that up.
I don't know why I thought Joe Rogan.
I feel so embarrassed to have to search for things. Well, it should all be on the tip of my tongue,
Oh, right. Yeah. Especially these.
but it is not because, well, and I'm like an old guy. Uh, let's see, who founded the university? Oh, University of Texas of Austin.
No.
Okay, who is behind the University of Austin? This says that, okay, I got the guy's name. This guy used to be the president of St. John's College. His name is Pano Canalos.
Okay.
And I think the initial conversation was between Pano Canalos, Niall Ferguson, Barry Weiss, who you may know, and
Uh-huh.
Joe Lonsdale, who's a VC. And they've put this thing together, and it's happening.
That's interesting that
It's
Barry
a
Weiss.
real thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Barry Weiss was associated or affiliated with some of the people who are referred to as intellectual dark web. I don't really think you can group these people together that well.
Right.
The thing is that we're constantly trying to see groups of people as having connections that are probably looser than we would assume. But this is, as I say, it's more libertarian than anything else, as near as I can tell. And I'm sure that Joe Rogan is probably supportive of it, and is probably he might even have given it some money, but he's not directly involved with it. And Elon Musk, to my knowledge, has no involvement with it.
Good.
Yeah, I just looked up Elon's Bastrop educational outfit. It's called Ad Astra, and it's a private school for kids aged 3 to 6. And his name isn't on any of the paperwork, but his foundation provided the seed money, and his top advisors from his various companies are leading the whole thing. So you can see his fingerprints all over it. And it's, supposed to be a STEM focused educational unit, but it's sounds kind of loosey goosey and subject to Elon's influence, I'm sure.
Well, I have a kind of a question about. I mean, he's just so weird, but I I just don't understand how he is elevated to the position that he's been elevated, and nobody has demanded that he leave. He's not an American. He's not a.
Well,
He's
some
not.
people have demanded that he leave, but nobody's
Well, that's what I'm saying.
effectively demanded it yet.
Do you think it'll be the explosion of egos that makes it happen?
I'm sure the explosion of egos will have an effect.
Yeah.
And, a lot of things are going to happen here. For one thing, Elon Musk with less visibility could be passed off as some kind of genius. But he's really not a genius. And he's had some luck along the way, and he has made some decisions that worked, and he's been able to pile up obviously a lot of money, at least on paper.
Hmm.
But there's no evidence that this guy is all that much smarter. I saw something the other day that said that they figure his IQ, which has never, as far as I know, never been published. They
Oh, the
thought it
one
was
about
probably around
100?
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 100, which is not low, but it's not high either. It's just a
So
kind of average IQ.
it won't
Yeah.
get you into Mensa for sure.
Yeah.
And he
I
thinks
mean,
he's,
my IQ is higher than that.
well, for sure.
Well, did you catch his whole performance on Fox the other day, where it was Musk and Trump sitting down with the I forget which one of the Fox
It was
leads.
it was Hannity.
Yeah, but he talked past Trump directly to, the co-president is the way he was
Have you?
treated. And I can't
Well, but
believe
he had
that Trump just sat there and took it.
we had his kid with him, his small child who
No,
looked at
not
Trump and
this.
said, "You're
No,
not
not
the president."
This is
no, not
yeah, we
that.
saw
This was
that.
on Fox,
Oh, this is a
on
this is a different
on
session, huh?
Yes,
Hannity,
a
and
whole different
they
thing.
they did
Yeah.
a twofer, and
Oh,
it
the
was on.
Hannity thing. Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
about that.
that was
You
just
know,
ridiculous.
it's I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but when he is around Trump and Trump's doing his arm dance, whatever that is, Elon always looks like he makes these kind of aside looks at people like, God, this guy's a freak, you know? And it's like he wants to be cool. And so he gives these off the camera looks at, but people see it. And then here's, Trump is going to see it and see how he's being treated. And I just really hope that happens really soon because he's like a young kid making fun of an old man is what I'm seeing. And like when he dances, when he does his arms like this, and then Elon will go like this, and then go so stupid, you know.
Yeah, we all
It's
assumed that Trump would see that as an affront to his
yeah.
ego, but maybe he doesn't care. Maybe it's like he's getting what he wants out of the guy, so he just kind of looks the other way.
You think that's what it is? You think Trump's got this under
I
control?
don't know. Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think Trump has much of anything under control. He definitely thinks he does, but he doesn't really. I, I said a minute ago I wanted to take the floor. I just want to go over this list of things that was actually published by Robert Reich the other day. Uh, there's hope in all of this, right? This is hopeful stuff. Number one, boycotts are taking hold. You've got a bunch of people who are actually committing themselves to boycott some of the people who um, either support Trump directly or kind of facilitate him in some way. And people have quit buying Teslas. That's part of
Yeah,
it too. International resistance is rising,
very.
including Canada. Of course, Canada has every reason to be really pissed off at
Hell
Trump
yeah.
and his minions. So you've got that, and you've got, Claudia Scheinbaum is absolutely great. I'm really impressed with her. I may move, well, if I say I may move to Mexico, somebody may facilitate that. I may see stormtroopers at the door to show me the way. So I guess I
Right,
shouldn't say that, but
right.
it's tempting. Number
Isn't
three, independent and alternative media are growing. There's a lot
Mhm.
more stuff that's springing up. And also, I mentioned, that 50501. I'm not even sure if that's on here. Musk's popularity is plunging. The polls that show public opinion about Musk show that he is way underwater. Doge is losing credibility. As you can see, they're having to like go back and hire back people that they fired, and they're giving reports of savings that are, ridiculously off.
astronomical.
They claim that an $8 million saving was an $8 billion savings and that sort of thing. The federal courts are hitting back. We see a lot of action in the courts right now. Oh yeah, demonstrations are on the rise. That's like the 50501. I mean, they've been a little slow to emerge given the speed of Trump's actions,
But what
but
happens with
the
these courts?
50501 movement is there, and there's some others. Stock and bond markets are trembling, he says here. In other words, they're worried. They're clearly worried because what Trump says he's going to do economically is inflationary. And, we could have an economic disaster looming if Trump gets his way and does everything he says he's going to do.
Mhm.
Trump is overreaching, pretending to be king and abandoning the Ukraine for Putin. I have a feeling that this cozying up to Putin is not going to sell very well to the American people,
We have
but it
indoctrinated
is definitely
ourselves
happening.
with that. Yeah, we hate Russia. I remember growing up, and every movie was anti-Russia. I mean, I don't understand this newfound love of Russia, other than they gave him a lot of money.
Well, he likes Putin because he says he's a genius, and he really likes him because he's a dictator. I mean, Trump loves strongman dictators.
Yeah, he wants his people to sit up the way they do in North Korea.
My favorite thing that happened recently, Trump has moved the Resolute desk out of the Oval Office because Musk's kid wiped a booger on the desk.
Love it. Love it.
Oh,
Now,
good.
you talk about a fragile individual. I mean, it's a booger. We all have them, but the kid, triggered Trump's germophobia, and it's going to have to be redone. I'm sure at extreme expense.
His germophobia it comes and goes, doesn't it? Have you noticed that? Because he's fine shaking hands with people left and right. And I mean, germaphobes they're not into that. And he would have been all into the masking also.
Well, I've been told that after he does those handshakings, that he goes back and does some serious scrubbing down. I think he probably has a caddy that gets all of his cleaning supplies and wipes him down after he's been exposed to the general public. He doesn't kiss any babies, though. I noticed.
No, he hates children.
Yep, and I kind of think they hate him as well.
Yes, just like Ted Cruz, his own children hate him. I haven't heard about that guy in a while.
He's hiding out.
He is hiding.
I've
heard more about Cornyn than I've heard about him. I never hear about Cornyn.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard about Ted Cruz today.
What happened?
Well, they said that he has become very, very powerful in the Senate, and that he is, hold on a minute.
Powerful. I thought everybody hated him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, everybody hates him. But that doesn't mean he's not doing well. I'm trying to find this bit of news about him today that, Senator Ted Cruz rises as Texas' top leader in Washington, it says. This is the headline, and it was in today's Statesman. And the Statesman wants me to sign in order to see this thing.
The Statesman is just kind of a USA Today plus.
They were just bought out by the Hearst newspaper.
By Hearst, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Gannett's getting rid of them, so when they become a Hearst publication, the USA Today connection may be weaker.
One would hope.
and Wall Street Journal, I guess, too, has a piece of them. Every time I get the paper, it's wrapped in a Wall Street Journal plastic cover thing. So either they just have a whole bunch of those laying around.
That's interesting. I don't get the paper anymore. I get the online, so it just comes in, chock full of USA Today as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, my folks.
Okay, this says.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Texas clout in the nation's capital has always been a point of pride for the Lone Star State, but in the 119th Congress, which began in January, there's been a dramatic power shift from the U.S. House to the U.S. Senate, where the state's junior senator, Ted Cruz, is now the top player from Texas.
Oh God.
And he's the new chairman of the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, which gives him a lot of power. So yeah, he's definitely there, and he's definitely more powerful than he's ever been.
So what did he have Cornyn kidnapped or what?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what's happening with Cornyn. I don't think Cornyn has quite the luster that Ted does. Uh,
he's he
Yeah.
said he wasn't going to run again, but I think he is. Cornyn.
and Ted doesn't have to run again for what, 6 years?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
That's right. The guy who
yeah.
ran
So
on
yeah,
term limits.
he has job security. So yeah, I have a feeling that Cornyn was kind of backing away because he really, seemed to be a little less insane than Cruz.
Well, Cruz went all in, man. He sacrificed his wife's his integrity, everything, just to be next to Trump, and I guess it worked for him.
Well, we'll see.
I just, they're uh, uh, who's going to hold this guy accountable? Will we ever see him held accountable? I just don't think so.
He doesn't do accountable that I know of. It it's going to have to be we hold him and we take the actions that make him accountable.
So, are you guys? I mean, would you guys go to the protests and the marches and stuff if there were here?
No, of course. I
Yeah.
would love to. Yeah. I have to find somebody
Yeah, probably.
to stand in here with Clarissa, but that's
Mhm.
not a problem. It's been a while since I went out and cover. I used to cover a lot of demonstrations back in the day, and I enjoyed that because there's always just so much action going on and so much energy you get from just talking to the people that care enough to show up.
It's true. Yeah.
If they cancel our Social Security, we'll have everything to gain and nothing to lose
Yeah.
Well, and
by
everybody's
protesting.
they're losing their jobs. The red states
Yeah.
are usually subsidized by the blue states. So and then somebody wanted Trump to just punish people in the blue states,
Well, that's
which
kind of what he's doing anyway.
yeah, he's trying to, yeah, but I don't know. I just feel so helpless. I really feel helpless, and I don't like.
Well, no, Marcia and I have been having this discussion. She's been tearing her hair out. And, I mean, she's just been really concerned, like, what can we do? What can we do?
Right.
And my philosophy is just don't be upset. Just wait and look for the thing you can do and do that thing. Um, they would love to see us all get upset and paranoid and cowering and worried and all that. And I'm just choosing not to be. So I'm going ahead and staying pretty positive about it. Decent amount of equanimity. It helps that I'm a meditator, but aside from that, um, I just don't see that. I mean, it seems to me like we're just kind of playing right into it if we freak out. You know how it's always been the case where they do this own the libs thing. It's always about trying to get us upset and get us mad and get us, well, I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm just going to keep an eye on what's going on. And if I can interject myself, I'm going to do that. I'm perilously close to starting a new blog.
Hmm.
And I realized the other day that I had a good name for it. And I used to publish a literary magazine. It just had 3 issues, but it was called Unshaved Truths. It was kind of a science fiction-y literary magazine. Unshaved truths as opposed to bald-faced lies, right?
Right.
And I said, well, shoot, I'll just revive that name and put it on a blog. It's kind of sitting there at Substack waiting for me to start posting to it. And if I can overcome my writer's block, which has been pretty persistent for a few years, I'll just start dumping stuff in there.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna.
how do I overcome my writer's block? That's the question.
I'm going to continue along with the lunatic fringe, which is those are my people.
Yeah,
And,
right.
I've avoided getting scared of anything. I've just figured that if you want to do what's right, you just speak up and keep speaking, and eventually they'll either drag you off and do you in, or they'll listen. So
Well,
I'm just hoping someone listens.
well, like who? I mean, we're sending these people to Gitmo. It's like we're not even deporting them back to their own countries. And then I hear about these like kids who didn't know that they weren't born here, and they're being sent to Gitmo before I guess they're going to be sent back to wherever, Venezuela or whatever, where they know no one. They don't speak Spanish. They were raised here. They're 25 years old, and they're just now finding out that they weren't born here.
Mm.
It's unbelievable what they're doing to these people, and they're saying now that the non-American parent has to go too. I just don't. What this is constitutional stuff. Birthright citizenship. This is constitutional shit. You can't do that. Can you?
Well, obviously you can't do it, but that doesn't mean they're not going to try to do it.
Yeah, they're
But I
already moving in on
think
the unaccompanied children. They're going to start sending them off right away, which is really going to be a big change in policy.
apparently, so Trump put a bunch of people at Guantanamo, and then he removed them, and then I think they put some more people in there, and they're kind of like on and off about these things.
Yeah.
I do know a couple of days ago they removed the migrants that were at Guantanamo, but there's a new report that they've moved at least 17 into Guantanamo.
They said it was 30,000.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's not room for 30,000 because, I mean, unless they just let them stand out in the open, because they don't have a facility that's set up for that kind of number of people. And
they can send Joseph Arpaio out there to fix that.
they're going to create a real humanitarian disaster if they just drop all these people there and without a facility to handle it. But that's typical. That's the way they've done all of their migration
Everything, yeah, everything has just been done with a hatchet. I mean, there's no thought of. I think they've probably spent more money closing things down than they would have, if they'd just gone through each institution for a year or so and weeded out that way. But they're just cutting it. I mean, the IRS just lost like 5,000 people in tax season. It's I don't.
Well, there can be some positives, though. I mean, look at Linda McMahon, who's in charge of the Department of Education.
I'd rather not.
Think of how much better the wrestling programs in schools are going to be with her in charge.
And acting.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more wrestlers coming out there. I mean, there's a new job category. But talking about jobs, I live out here in the sticks, and I keep in touch online with all the various community pages on Facebook and other places like that. And I see a lot of people going, I needed someone to do my lawn. My lawn people are gone. And my guy that does my trees, he's handled, cutting down trees and clearing away stuff for years. He's out of business because they took away all of his people. They're gone. They're back in Guatemala and Venezuela.
I don't know what these people are thinking. It's only 3% of the entire 333 million people who live in this country. Illegal immigrants make up 3% of that, and we're spending all this time and we're focusing on this tiny percentage of people who are paying taxes.
Mhm. And they're
It's
doing the work that no one else wants to do.
and then there's that, and then there's that. I mean, you know, they keep what I'm hearing is get the kids, the high school kids in there to do that stuff. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you, no way you're going to get any white kids or, privileged kids in there to clean stuff like that. The bathrooms and stuff.
No, you guys are missing it. You're missing it. Former federal employees are going to be doing these jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see them out picking cotton. That'll
Yeah, that's going
Yeah.
to
go over big. Growing up in West Texas, I had friends who lived way out in the country, and they tried going out and doing the same work that the migrant laborers were doing. And they were out chopping cotton for 10 cents an hour. That didn't last very long because
Wasn't much fun, was it?
it's no fun at all, especially in like 110-degree heat.
Yeah, and then all of the crops are just laying there going bad.
Mm.
I don't know.
I'm just pissed because I like avocados. I just bought a couple of avocados at Central Market, and they were nasty. They were already all yuck inside. It's like, that's not what we used to get. We used to get great avocados, so there's no more guacamole around this house.
No.
I know. I just made guacamole last night from some perfectly good avocados. You
Well,
just went to the wrong place.
I certainly did.
I got mine from HEB. I don't know why Central Market, being an HEB store, couldn't have good avocados. I would complain.
Yep.
But, coffee prices are going to go way up.
Yeah, they already have.
I heard
Egg prices are a little unusual. Well, egg prices are down.
I said I heard they were going to go down on the first day of his presidency, but it didn't work out.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, they're not as bad as I thought they were going to be. I did buy some eggs for less than $6 the other day.
Oh, that's
but
good.
Most of the eggs there were $8 or so.
Jesus, I just want to get my own chicken.
Nah, then you'd catch bird flu from your chicken.
Yeah,
God, and that's the
okay, here's a story for you. We the other day, we had this bird feeder, and this bird feeder had it had a camera built into it, and it was pretty cool. We were getting pretty good shots of the birds. And then the bird feeder became a squirrel feeder.
That's
and
what
it was
usually
only
happens.
squirrels that were, yeah. So eventually we had to take that bird feeder down, but we had a way to rig another bird feeder we had. And we had like a big pole we could hang it on. And so the squirrel's trying to climb up the pole. I sprayed the pole with olive oil, and the squirrel just kind of slid right down.
Yeah, that's the secret there.
So that was good. But what happened was that suddenly we have more birds than we've ever seen since we moved into this house in our backyard. All these birds are coming. It's like there were goldfinches and cardinals and I mean, all kinds of songbirds, coming into the yard and eating from the bird feeder we hung up. And then we realized that the reason that all these birds are coming into our yard is that everybody else has removed their bird feeder, because if you look, there's a thing online that says that you should remove your bird feeder, because if birds congregate there, they may pass bird flu to each other.
Oh no.
So we had to take the bird feeder down.
No.
Damn.
Yeah, well,
and it's like,
noticed,
I kind of wouldn't have thought of that, but it just hit us,
Yeah.
But that had to be why we were getting so many birds.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more bird population here in our area. And I think a lot of it is due to the fact we've had a false spring. Things
Yeah.
have bloomed out here that never bloomed in February. And I've seen a lot more birds, but during this most recent freeze, I found a lot of dead ones who just were frozen to death, which is really sad.
Yeah.
You
It
sure
was.
that wasn't bird flu?
No,
Oh,
we had 15-degree temperatures, and
could have been
during
the
next morning,
measles. It could have been
Yeah, it
measles.
could
We
have
got
been measles,
huge outbreak
bird
here.
measles.
bird,
We have 95 people have it right now, or as of yesterday here in Texas, and 5 of the 95 were vaccinated against it. Now, my
Oh.
question is, how did the other 90 get to go to school? I mean,
Oh,
are
Texas. Yeah, the reason that you see so much measles in Texas is because they passed an exception. Basically, if parents don't want their kids to get vaccinated, they don't have to get them vaccinated in order to send them to school, which
yeah,
is a change, of course. I don't know how long that's been in effect, but that opened the door to measles. And the places where you see measles emerging is in areas where there are a number of people who choose not to have their kids vaccinated.
yeah, a lot of people
You probably
do
won't
that.
see it much in Austin.
Yeah, a lot of people get a vaccination exception through by just saying it's against their religion, and
oh, Jesus, yeah.
nobody wants to fight that one, so
Oh
they
no,
just
you
let
can't.
them through.
Well,
But
I would be like, okay, then you don't get to go to public school. Take your little measles infested children and take them to your private school or homeschool them. But when you're in the public and you go to a public school, you have to present yourself as having done everything you can to make sure that everybody else is safe from you. And you expect they will have done that too when you are in a public school. I would think that that would be, there are rules. There's just, I mean, it was just so we don't get sick. I don't know what the problem is.
yeah, there's a lot of parents who come out and they want their kids to be safe, but they're kind of doing the not in my own backyard kind of thing of well, I don't want to get the vaccination, but I want my kids to be safe. Well, you can't have it both ways, Skippy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, I have a friend who worked for the CDC. She reported to the guy who reported to Fauci here in Texas. And she would, she was all about masking, and she still masks. And I asked her about this measles stuff because it started in Kentucky, I think, or Kansas, one of the K's. And then it moved to Michigan, and now we have it. And she said that it could be really, really bad for all the people who've said they're not vaccinated. It could be very, very bad. And I wonder what very bad means. Does that mean worse than COVID? Could that happen, do you think?
Um, well, one thing is that people who are like old, like Scoop and I, don't have to worry about it because we had the measles and we're sort of vaccinated for life.
Mhm.
Oh,
You
you
know,
had the
we've already
measles?
been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Oh,
both forms of measles, and I'm sure Scoop did. Did you, Scoop?
Let me guess. One of your family's friends, kid, had measles, and all of a sudden you were invited over to play with them. So
right.
that's how I got measles and the mumps. It's like it was going around. It's like,
Yeah.
go over to
And
Monty's
chicken
house
pox.
because he's got. Yeah, fortunately, I didn't
I
get
never had
chicken
the
pox.
mumps. That's the one I didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them all. Thank my parents.
But yeah, so with COVID, you had this concern that older people might get it and that it would be worse for them, that their immune systems might not be as strong. But with measles, there's kind of an assumption that older people are probably not going to catch it because they probably already had it when they were kids. The vaccine is, I think they said something like 90% effective, but actually having had measles is supposedly 100% effective in
Okay.
preventing later cases of it. Fingers crossed.
Well, I found my vaccination certificates from when I was a kid. So it's got all of them on there. And I got extra ones because I think we were supposed to move to South um, America, but then we didn't. But I had all the other shots, and then I got yellow fever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, yeah, I can't believe people are fighting against the polio vaccine, because I remember when that was a big thing. I had friends that I grew up with who had been infected with polio and had various mobility issues. One of my friends, John Key, was required to, he had to wear braces on his legs to get around it, and he'd use crutches. And I had other friends who had, recovered from polio, but later life, they ended up being seriously impacted because it came back. But
Well, I
when
wonder
they
if that's
came
what
out with
happened.
when
Go
they
ahead.
came out with the vaccine, we were all herded into a movie theater. Mine happened in Sweetwater, Texas, and they showed us a Disney. I think it was like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but in order to get in, you had to get your vaccination first.
I thought it was under the tongue.
Now
The
this,
soft.
I just remember getting a sugar cube.
yeah,
Yeah, I thought it
It
was
was
not
on a
under.
sugar cube for me.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what my mom said. She was a polio pioneer,
yeah,
and
yeah. This was a everything above. They also did the smallpox
I
vaccination at
got that too.
at the same time.
Do you have a scar?
You know,
Yep.
Me too.
if you've been around somebody who had a serious case of polio, you really get how serious it is. And I had a cousin who died when I think she was 13,
Oh wow.
and nobody expected her to live to be 13 years old because she was so seriously ill. She was paralyzed. She couldn't even speak. Um, so she was just really in terrible, terrible shape. But her mother, my aunt, was a nurse and devoted her life to keeping that girl alive and kept her alive for about as long, well, much longer than anyone expected. So polio, I mean, you might have met people who had polio and had, maybe they have a limp, or, they have some minimal effect from the polio, but
Mitch
it could be much
McConnell
more
had it.
serious than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were people who had to move into iron lungs,
Yeah. I remember
where
seeing those, and
you
that was
just,
scary.
Yeah,
yeah.
that is really.
And this is all, I mean, it's like we're inviting it back because suddenly public health is an encroachment on your freedom and not a way to keep people healthy,
Fauci
right?
had to get a pardon.
Yeah.
What? They're not. Yeah, and uh, they're, like you said, they're having to bring people back. And I think if I were one of those people, I would say, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not coming back."
Yeah, I would have serious reservations after having been treated that way. So I'm going to go back. How long is that going to last until they figure they've got somebody who can replace me?
Mm-hmm. And treat me like shit the whole time, so that I'll want to leave. It's just there. Nobody thought this out for all of their. We have this great plan, 2025. Nobody thought about consequences. These people, MAGA people, just never think about consequences. They think they have the right to say whatever they want to say, and they do, but there are consequences. Why is that
Oh,
so?
incidentally, I'm kind of going back for a minute to the Musk thing that we were talking about. I just found a story that shows that the Pentagon, the FBI, the State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Energy all instructed their staff not to reply to Musk's email.
So what does this
There's
mean?
pushback.
Is he is he something? I mean, what, how
Well,
can you
he should not have the power to fire people.
right?
Uh, Maybe people in Doge, though apparently he doesn't run Doge either, so he shouldn't have the power to select those people.
So
He
who
really
does run
shouldn't
it?
have the power to get access to databases.
He shouldn't have.
Um,
He shouldn't be anywhere near government.
Yeah, well,
I
you know,
mean,
they're just playing fast and loose with data. Yeah, and who is running Doge? It doesn't seem to be anyone raising their hand saying, "I'm the boss." I don't think anyone wants to get the blame.
no, no.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an odd thing. So, uh, apparently, Elon Musk was appointed by Trump to head Doge. But
Right.
when people started complaining about it, they said, well, no, he's not the leader of Doge, but he's the one who's been making all the decisions for Doge. He's been bringing all of his people in to do various things.
He's telling people to
I
send him
don't
a
know.
note. What did you do last week? I want to know if you're doing anything.
Well, I'm no I'm going to no longer call it Doge. I'm going to start calling it Doggy.
I
So you
think
can
that
like
was,
bad
don't
dog.
you think that was the point though on the meme coin? Didn't he, don't you think he wanted people
Yeah,
to
I don't
call
know.
it Dogie?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's just
never
a bad
understood that
dog.
thing.
I didn't either. Oh, and what's going on with I heard that there's a country who's thinking about, it's a smaller country, I can't remember which one, damn it. Um, but they're thinking of changing their currency to crypto. And I don't know how you really, I mean, I would have to take a lot of classes to even get my head around what crypto is. It backed up by anything? Is it Fort Knox backed up? Where are we getting this? Who says how much a Bitcoin is worth?
Well, I mean, it's a market rate, I guess. It's kind of like or, like a currency market, I guess.
But
It's
what do
like
you
playing the
get?
I
stock
think it's
market.
El Salvador that you're thinking about. And El Salvador has made Bitcoin their legal tender as of 2021.
Okay, that
So
was
it's
it.
been going on for a while there.
But how do you
Well,
do
I
it?
mean, the idea with Bitcoin was that you could get it and you could spend it like any currency. But what happened with Bitcoin was that it became an investment rather than a form of currency. And that's the case in many places, but in El Salvador, it's actually being used as a currency.
But okay, so what is one Bitcoin worth? And how do I make change? Bit change.
Uh,
Like if I use
I'll
Bitcoin to
tell
buy
you, so one Bitcoin right at this moment is worth $93,996.
okay, so if I bought $100
And that's down
guitar,
over $2,000. Today, that went down over $2,000. Bitcoin is plummeting at the moment.
okay, so wait, I just want to find out how this works. I have
And
money.
I was at the first, when this first came around, I could have bought some Bitcoin, very little money, and now I'd be flush, right? But I
Okay,
didn't. Damn it.
so I'm
But
gonna
go ahead,
go
Susie. What would you say?
to the music store and I'm gonna buy $100 guitar with Bitcoin. How do I get change? Because if one Bitcoin is 999, whatever it is, then how do I get change for my $100 guitar paying with one Bitcoin? How does that happen?
Well, you wouldn't pay with one Bitcoin because you don't want to pay $93,000 for a $100 guitar.
So what's
What
the
you would do
point?
is, well, they would have to assign a Bitcoin value to the guitar, and you would just transfer Bitcoin to them in that amount. There wouldn't be any change.
So I
It
could
would
take
be like if I pay you for something over Venmo, I pay you in the correct amount of dollars and cents, and there's no change.
right.
I never have to give you more. I mean, the reason we have change is because we use currency that is not, you know, precise to the things that we're buying. So
Mhm.
if all you've got are $100 bills, you're going to get a lot of change because
Right.
you're going to be handing a $100 bill and you get $50.43 back.
hmm So, but how does that work
Well,
with Bitcoin?
well, you have to, for one thing, you
You
have to
just
have a
transfer the
company
exact
that's
amount to
going.
them.
You have to find a company that's going to accept it. You can't just go into 7-Eleven and, buy some ding dongs or some ho hos
So,
or some Cheetos and pay for it with Bitcoin because you're not going to do that.
so there are Bitcoins that are only worth $100, or do I take a? It really just
It's
makes no sense.
percentages of one Bitcoin that would be calculated. Yeah, your $100 that if for your $100 guitar, they'd have to have figured out and be accepting Bitcoin transactions. So they would have calculated how much that $100 equates to in a percentage of a Bitcoin.
It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
A lot of what, I mean, a lot of what's done now is like with third-party services. So you have a service that will sell you an Amazon gift card and you pay for it with Bitcoin, and then you spend the gift card with Amazon. You're not paying Amazon with Bitcoin, but you're buying the gift card to allow you to pay Amazon with Bitcoin.
And is it okay? So is the idea that it's better than what we have?
That's an idea that some people believe. I mean, people believe that it's better to have a form of currency that's not backed by governments.
But who
That's
is
decentralized. Decentralized. Well, it's not backed by anybody, really. It's a decentralized currency,
So
supposedly.
if I sold my Bitcoin right now, I would get, somebody would give me in dollars, 900, whatever it was you said.
Yeah, 93,000.
93,000. They would hand me $93,000 and I would give them my Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it's not backed by anything. So that's what confuses me, I guess.
It's based on the ideology of the free market, right? The idea is that it's a currency that is kind of its own market. It kind of had a bit of a bubble, as you can see. And the way it works is you got a bunch of computers that are nodes in a peer-to-peer Bitcoin network. And they keep copies of ledgers of transactions, blockchain, basically. And there's no central oversight. There's no government oversight. Pretty much the transactions are just validated through crypto, through the blockchain.
So if something happened,
it's very hard for somebody to spend somebody else's Bitcoin, though. I know there's been situations where people got their Bitcoin stolen in some form.
Yeah, some people have been hacked that way and lost a lot.
Wow.
Wait, if you look up the exchange rate, it just says floating. So it's
yeah.
I don't know. I hope it's not just me being old, but that's not something that I'm going to be able to learn.
Yeah, it's been at times accused of being like a Ponzi scheme. People in early got rich, and a lot of people lost money in the various fluctuations that it went through. People would panic and sell, and then it would go up, and they'd be, oh,
damn it.
It's just a lot of people using it are doing money laundering. Drug cartels have been really serious on laundering their money that way.
I didn't know that.
I mean, there's a whole. This kind of goes back to Hayek, who was, I guess, an economist, Friedrich Hayek, and he wrote a book called The Denationalization of Money. And he advocated for a free market for currency, for money, and to get rid of central banks that sort of managed currency or government management of currency or whatever. And doing that is kind of what would you call it, techno-anarchistic kind of thing, and it's kind of hard for me to see how it really ultimately works. I mean, how do you really anchor it? How do you really make it a foolproof currency system that can't be gamed because a lot of people seem to be gaming it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily, I'm not an economist. I don't necessarily understand economics, let alone Bitcoin. I mean, there's a whole body of thought around all of these things that none of us, I mean, I go out and I spend money all the time, but I don't really necessarily understand the system for fiat currency or the details of economic systems and how they operate.
Right.
I just, I do what I have to do to do trade, right? So you really shouldn't have to become an expert in Bitcoin to be able to spend Bitcoin. But it's really it's really been hard. It's definitely opaque to me. And I was actually on a panel discussing this, but I was like, they brought me in as the guy who can speak to the old internet,
Okay.
and to some of the origins of the internet and the thinking behind. The internet also was supposed to be a completely decentralized system and pretty free and open, right? You can see where that's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that all these things get gamed sooner or later, one way or another. And really, we're out of time. We've been talking for actually over an hour. It was great.
It was good to
So come back, Suzy. You ought to join us more.
Just let me know when.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Scoop? What else, Scoop?
I'm just glad to be talking to Suzy again.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All righty.
Let me know when you want me to come back, and I will.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you later, Tater. Bye-bye.
You can follow the Plutopia News Network at plutopia.io. On Facebook, go to @Plutopia News. On Twitter, it's @Plutopia. With John Lepkowski, I'm Scoop Sweeney. This is the Plutopia News Network, 20 minutes into the future.